I found my wife's phone unlocked on the kitchen counter at 11:50 p.m. on a Tuesday, and the message on the screen made my blood run cold. Can't wait to feel you inside me again tomorrow. Room 412, same hotel. My hands started shaking before my brain could fully process what I was reading. The sender's name was just D with a fire emoji. I stood there in our kitchen, the same kitchen where Katie and I had shared breakfast that morning, where she'd kissed me goodbye and told me she loved me, staring at words that were demolishing my entire world. I'm Jacob Miller, 34 years old, and up until that moment, I thought I had it all figured out. Katie and I had been married for 9 years, together for 12. We had 2 kids, Emma, who just turned 7, and Lucas, 5. I worked as a senior accountant at Brennan & Associates, pulling in a solid $90,000 a year. Katie had recently been promoted to regional sales director at Vertex Solutions, a pharmaceutical company, which bumped her salary to $110,000. We were proud of her. I was proud of her. The promotion came 6 months ago, right after her 32nd birthday. It meant more travel. She'd warned me about that. Dallas, Phoenix, Atlanta, sometimes twice a month. I'd encouraged her to take it. We'd celebrated with champagne and made love that night like we were newlyweds again. She deserved it, I'd told her. She'd worked so hard. What an idiot I was. My finger hovered over the phone screen. I knew I shouldn't scroll. Some part of my brain was screaming that once I looked further, there'd be no going back. But my hand moved anyway, swiping up to see the previous messages. The conversation went back weeks. Dozens of messages. Hundreds, maybe. I scrolled past plans for meetups, past explicit descriptions of what they'd done together, past photos I wish I could burn out of my memory. My wife, my Katie, the woman who'd cried in my arms when we lost her father 2 years ago, the mother who sang Disney songs to our daughter every night before bed. There were hotel receipts forwarded to the thread, dates that aligned perfectly with her business trips. Phoenix on September 14th. She'd called me from the hotel lobby that night, said she missed us. Atlanta on September 28th. She'd FaceTimed with the kids before their bedtime, helped Lucas with his alphabet. Dallas just last week. She'd brought back cowboy hats for both children. I felt bile rising in my throat. The kitchen clock ticked past midnight. Katie was upstairs, asleep in our bed. She'd gone up around 10, said she was exhausted from her trip to Seattle. Except now, I was wondering if she'd actually been in Seattle at all. I opened her email on the phone. She used the same password for everything, had for years. I'd never had a reason to check before. Her inbox confirmed it. Flight confirmations, hotel bookings. But when I cross-referenced the dates with her calendar, things didn't add up. The Seattle trip she'd just returned from? The hotel booking was for Portland. A 2-night stay at the Riverside Inn, checking out this morning. I grabbed my laptop from the dining room table and pulled up our joint credit card account. We'd always been transparent about finances, shared everything. Another thing I'd been stupidly proud of, our honest, open marriage. The charges painted a clear picture. Expensive dinners for 2. Wine that cost more than our monthly electric bill. A lingerie purchase from a boutique in Phoenix. She'd never worn anything like that for me. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely click the mouse. Then I found something that made my stomach drop even further. A charge from 3 weeks ago. Planned Parenthood, $45. Katie had an IUD. We'd decided on it together after Lucas was born. Agreed we were done having kids. Why would she need Planned Parenthood? I searched her emails again, found the appointment confirmation. STI screening and consultation. The date was right after her Atlanta trip. Jesus Christ, she was worried about diseases, which meant she thought this guy might be sleeping with other people too. Which meant she was risking not just our marriage, but my health. Our family's health. I sat there in the dark kitchen, the the glow of the laptop screen illuminating what was left of my life. Upstairs, I could hear the house settling, the familiar creaks and groans of the home we'd bought together 5 years ago. Emma's nightlight cast a soft glow under her bedroom door. Lucas's white noise machine hummed steadily. Everything looked the same as it had this morning. But nothing would ever be the same again. I needed proof. Real, undeniable proof. The phone messages could be explained away somehow. I didn't know how. But Katie was smart, persuasive. She sold pharmaceuticals for a living. Talking people into things was literally her job. I needed more. I went back to her phone, screenshot every message, every photo, every receipt. Airdropped them all to my phone, then deleted the evidence of the transfer. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. I forwarded her emails to a new account I created on the spot. jmevidence2024@gmail. Downloaded the credit card statements as PDFs. The clock read 1:33 a.m. I'd been at this for almost 2 hours. Katie would wake up for water soon. She always did, around 2. I needed to put everything back exactly as it was. But first, I opened the message thread with D one more time. Scrolled to the most recent message. Room 412, same hotel. Tomorrow. She was seeing him tomorrow. I sat there until 2:15 a.m., my laptop screen casting blue light across the dining room table. The house had gone completely silent except for the refrigerator's hum and the occasional creak of settling wood. My hands had stopped shaking somewhere around 1:45, replaced by a strange, cold steadiness I'd never felt before. The evidence sat in 3 places now. Screenshots in my new Gmail account, PDFs in a Dropbox folder I'd created with a password Katie would never guess, and the original messages still on her phone, which I'd carefully returned to the exact position on the kitchen counter. Screen down. Charging cable at the same angle. I needed to know who D was. The messages gave me fragments. References to the tasting room and your Pinot and that night after the harvest party. In one message from 3 weeks ago, Katie had written, "I can still taste you mixed with a 19 reserve." My stomach had turned reading that. I opened a new browser tab and pulled up Katie's work calendar, which she'd shared with me years ago, for coordination. I'd stopped checking it months ago. Why would I? I trusted her. What an idiot I was. I scrolled back through September. Her Seattle trip showed up as Vertex Regional Conference, Sept 1821. But the credit card statement had shown Portland, the Riverside Inn. I Googled the hotel name with Portland and got the address, 2187 Willamette Street. Then I Googled wineries near Riverside Inn, Portland. 47 results. I narrowed it. Wineries Willamette Valley Tasting Room. Still too many. I went back to the messages, searching for any detail I'd missed. Found one from August 14th, Katie to D. Can't wait to see the new labels you designed. The red hand logo is perfect. Red hand logo. I added that to my search. Winery red hand logo, Willamette Valley. 3 results. The third one made my pulse spike. Red Hand Vineyards. Family-owned, established 2008, specializing in Pinot Noir and Merlot. Located 15 minutes from downtown Portland. The About Us page loaded, showing a sun-weathered man in his late 30s standing among vine rows, holding a wine bottle. The caption read, "Proprietor and winemaker Derek Vance brings 15 years of experience from Napa Valley to Oregon's wine country." Derek. D. I clicked through to the staff page. There he was again. Larger photo this time. Tall, lean build, that casually handsome look some men had without trying. Tanned forearms. Easy smile. The bio mentioned he'd won awards, studied in France, returned to start his own vineyard 5 years ago. My wife was sleeping with a winemaker named Derek Vance. I screenshot everything. His photo, the vineyard's address, The Contact Us page showing a phone number and email. Then I went back to Katie's messages and searched Derek. She'd been careful, only D in the contact name, but in the message history from July, she'd slipped once. Derek, I'm already wet thinking about tomorrow. I had a name, I had a face, I had a location. The clock showed 2:47 a.m. Katie's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. I stood so fast my chair scraped against the hardwood. Crossed the room in 4 steps. The screen lit up with a new message from D. Can't sleep. Keep thinking about your mouth. Tomorrow can't come fast enough. My hands were shaking again. I watched the screen go dark, then picked up the phone. Unlocked it with her password. Emma 2017, our daughter's birth year. Opened the message thread. I could respond. Pretend to be Katie. Find out more. Or I could let tomorrow happen exactly as they'd planned. Room 412, same hotel. Which hotel? I scrolled back through their messages, looking for any mention. Found it in a message from 2 weeks ago. Booked our usual room at the Riverside. They're starting to recognize me. The Riverside Inn, Portland. Room 412. Katie's calendar showed Vertex Client Dinner, Portland, for tomorrow. Today, technically. Wednesday. She was supposed to leave at noon. Return Thursday evening. I set her phone back down. Returned to the dining room. Opened Google Maps and entered the Riverside Inn's address. Then calculated drive time from our house. 5 hours and 43 minutes. If Katie left at noon, she'd arrive around 5:45 p.m. Time to check in, shower, change. The message had said tomorrow night. Probably meeting Derek around 7 or 8. I could be there by 6 p.m. if I left at noon. The thought formed before I could stop it. I could catch them together. My accountant brain immediately started planning. I'd need to call in sick to work, pack an overnight bag, book my own room at the Riverside, different floor, different name, bring my phone to document everything. Document what exactly? What was I going to do? Knock on the door? Stand in the hallway and listen? Burst in like some bad TV drama? I rubbed my eyes. 3:02 a.m. I had to sleep, had to think clearly. But first, I needed to know if there were other men. Other Ds with different letters. I went back to Katie's phone and opened her email. The Vertex account was logged in. I searched hotel reservation in her inbox. Dozens of confirmations. I started cross-referencing with her calendar and the credit card statements. Dallas, March 12, 14. Actual Vertex conference. Confirmed with company-wide email. But the hotel charge showed an upgrade to a suite. The company would have booked a standard room. Phoenix, April 8-10. Another conference. Another suite upgrade. A charge from Nordstrom for $347 the day before she left. Atlanta, May 20th, 23. This was the trip with the Planned Parenthood charge. The hotel confirmation showed the Marriott Marquise. But the credit card also showed charges from a place called The Cellar on May 21st and 22nd. I Googled it. Upscale wine bar in downtown Atlanta. I searched Katie's email for Cellar Atlanta. One result from an email address I didn't recognize. Last night was incredible. I'll be in Portland next month if you're ever out west. M, not D. My stomach dropped through the floor. I searched the phone for M in her contacts. Nothing. Searched her messages. Nothing. She'd deleted them, or used a different app, or met him only once. How many were there? I went back to the credit card statements, looking at every hotel charge over the past 6 months. 7 trips total. The Seattle-Portland trip was definitely Derek. The messages confirmed it. But what about the others? I opened a new document on my laptop and started building a timeline. March 12, 14, Dallas. Suite upgrade, Nordstrom charge. Unknown. April 8, 10, Phoenix. Suite upgrade, expensive dinners. unknown. May 2023, Atlanta. The seller charges, Planned Parenthood. M from email. June 15, 17, Seattle. Legitimate conference, verified. But lingerie charge from Victoria's Secret on June 14th. July 22nd, 24, Phoenix again. No conference this time. Calendar just said client meetings. Charges from 3 different restaurants. August 18, 20, Portland. First confirmed Derek visit. Messages referenced finally meeting in person. September 18, 21, Portland, Seattle. The trip where she lied about the location. Multiple Derek messages. My wife had taken 7 trips in 6 months. At least 2 involved Derek. At least 1 involved someone named M. The others were question marks. And tomorrow, today, she was going back to Portland. Back to Derek. Back to room 412. I looked at the ceiling, toward our bedroom where Katie slept peacefully. The woman I'd loved for 9 years. The mother of my children. The person I'd trusted more than anyone in the world. I didn't know her at all. The clock showed 3:41 a.m. I had to make a decision. Confront her now or wait. Catch her in Portland or file for divorce first. Burn everything down immediately or gather more evidence. My phone sat next to the laptop. I could call Derek Vance right now. The Vineyards number was on my screen. Or I could wait until tomorrow. Follow Katie to Portland. See exactly what my wife did when she thought no one was watching. I saved all my documents, closed the laptop, stood in the dark dining room and listened to my house breathe around me. Upstairs, Katie slept. Tomorrow, she'd pack her bag, kiss Emma and Lucas goodbye. Tell me she loved me. Drive 5 hours and 43 minutes to meet her lover in room 412. And I'd be there waiting. I pulled into the parking lot of the Riverside Inn at 11:47 a.m. Wednesday morning. 24 hours exactly since I'd first seen that message on Katie's phone. The lot was half empty. Business travelers checking out, a few tourists with California plates loading suitcases. I parked 3 rows back from the entrance where I had a clear view of the lobby doors but wouldn't be immediately visible from the street. Katie thought I was at work. I'd left the house at my normal time, kissed the kids goodbye, even reminded her to pick up Lucas's prescription after school. She'd smiled at me over her coffee, completely at ease. "Love you," she'd said. I'd said it back. The words tasted like ash. My phone showed her location still at home. I checked her calendar last night. Her client meeting wasn't until 2 p.m. She'd leave around noon, probably arrive by 1:30. Plenty of time to get settled in room 412 before Derek showed up. I'd called in sick to work. First time in 3 years. Then I'd driven straight to Portland, stopping only for gas and coffee. The 5-hour drive had given me too much time to think, to plan, to imagine what I'd find. The evidence was already secured. Last night, after documenting everything, I'd uploaded it all to a private cloud account Katie didn't know about. Screenshots, receipts, message threads, the Planned Parenthood charge. I'd also forwarded copies to my personal email and saved everything on a thumb drive now buried in my glove compartment. At 12:14 p.m., my phone buzzed. Katie's location started moving. I watched the little blue dot travel down our street, onto the highway, heading north. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. This was real. She was really coming here, really going through with it. A silver Lexus pulled into the lot at 1:22 p.m. I recognized it immediately. Katie's company car, the one that came with her promotion. The promotion that had started all of this. She parked near the entrance, checked her makeup in the rearview mirror, grabbed a small overnight bag from the passenger seat. The same bag she'd taken on her Seattle trip. The same bag she'd unpacked Sunday night while telling me about her boring conference sessions and terrible hotel breakfast. She walked into the lobby like she owned it. Confident, professional, beautiful in her navy dress and heels. Nobody would look at her and see an adulterer. They'd see a successful businesswoman, a loving mother, somebody's devoted wife. I waited 15 minutes. Long enough for her to check in, take the elevator up, get settled. Then I grabbed my phone and walked inside. The lobby was generic hotel elegant. Marble floors, leather chairs, a fountain burbling near the reception desk. A young clerk smiled at me. "Checking in, sir?" "Just meeting someone," I said. "Room 412. The elevator ride lasted forever. My heart hammered against my ribs. Second floor, third floor, fourth floor. The hallway was empty, quiet except for the hum of ice machines and distant television sounds. Room 412 was at the end of the corridor, around a corner. Private. Isolated. I stood outside the door for 30 seconds, listening. Nothing. Maybe she was in the bathroom. Maybe she was texting Derek, telling him to hurry. Maybe she was already regretting this, about to call it off, come home and confess everything. I knocked. Footsteps, the security latch sliding. The door opened. Katie stood there in a hotel robe, her hair down, wine glass in hand. Her smile died the instant she saw my face. "Jacob." My name came out as a whisper. How did you? I pushed past her into the room. Standard hotel suite, bigger than necessary for one person. King bed with the covers already turned down. 2 wine glasses on the nightstand, bottle of Merlot breathing beside them. Her overnight bag open on the luggage rack, black lingerie visible on top. "Jake, I can explain." "Where is he?" I turned to face her. She'd backed against the wall, clutching her robe closed. "Derek, when's he getting here?" Her face went white. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't." My voice came out flat, dead. "I know everything, Katie. I've known since last night. Your phone. You left it unlocked." She closed her eyes. "Oh God." "How long?" I asked. "How long have you been sleeping with him?" It's not what you think." "How long?" 6 months. Her voice was barely audible. "Since the Portland account. We met at a tasting event. It just happened." "Just happened." I laughed, and it sounded wrong even to me. 7 trips, 7 different cities, hotel suites, expensive dinners, lingerie on the company card. That all just happened. "You went through my credit card?" "We share everything, remember? Total transparency. That's what you always said." I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots. "Want to see what else I found? The messages? The photos? Or maybe you'd like to explain the Planned Parenthood charge from 2 weeks ago." She flinched like I'd hit her. I was careful. Not careful enough to use protection, apparently. I scrolled through the images. Or maybe Derek's not the only one. There's M from Atlanta. "Who else, Katie? How many?" "Stop." Tears were running down her face now. "Please stop." "Does he know you're married? Does he know about Emma and Lucas?" "Yes." She wrapped her arms around herself. "He knows everything. And he doesn't care. He's divorced. He understands." "Understands what? That you're cheating on your husband? That you're lying to your kids every time you kiss them goodbye before one of these trips?" A knock at the door made us both freeze. Katie's eyes went wide. "Don't. Please don't." I walked to the door and opened it. Derek Vance looked exactly like his website photo. Mid-40s, graying at the temples, expensive casual clothes that screamed artisan winemaker. He held a bottle of wine in one hand, flowers in the other. His smile faded when he saw me. "You must be the husband," he said. The calm in his voice ignited something in my chest. "Get out." "Look, I understand you're upset. You understand nothing." I stepped closer. He was taller than me, broader, but he stepped back. "You're sleeping with another man's wife. You're helping her lie to her children. And you show up here with flowers like you're taking her on a date." "Katie's an adult who makes her own choices. Katie's my wife. Maybe you should ask yourself why she needs to make those choices." He glanced past me to where Katie stood frozen. Why she's looking for something she's not getting at home? I wanted to hit him. My hands clenched into fists, and I wanted nothing more than to drive my knuckles into his smug face. But that would be assault. That would be giving him ammunition in the divorce. And there would be a divorce. Leave, I said. Now. Before I call the police and tell them you're harassing us. Harassing? He looked at Katie. Are you going to let him? Please go, Katie said quietly. Just go, Derek. He stood there another moment, then set the flowers and wine on the hallway table. Call me when you're ready to talk, when you're ready to stop letting him control you. I slammed the door in his face. Katie had collapsed into the desk chair, sobbing into her hands. I felt nothing looking at her. No sympathy, no anger, just a vast empty coldness where 9 years of marriage used to be. I'm filing for divorce, I said. I've already documented everything. Every message, every receipt, every lie. My lawyer will contact you by the end of the week. The kids will live with me. You can explain to a judge why they should live with someone who abandons them for sex trips with her boyfriend. I never abandoned them. You lied to them. Every single trip. You FaceTimed them from hotel rooms where you were planning to cheat on their father. You sang them Disney songs and tucked them in over video chat and then deleted the call log so I wouldn't see you were in Portland instead of Seattle. She looked up at me, mascara streaming down her face. I love them. I love you. I made a mistake. 7 trips isn't a mistake. It's a choice. You chose this. I headed for the door. Pack your things. Go home. We'll figure out custody arrangements through lawyers. Where are you going? I paused with my hand on the doorknob. Home. To our children. Someone should be there when they get off the bus. Jake, please, we can fix this. There's nothing left to fix. I walked out, leaving her crying in a hotel room that smelled like wine and betrayal. Derek was gone from the hallway. I took the elevator down, walked through the lobby, got in my car. My hands were shaking. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white, forcing myself to breathe slowly, evenly. Then I pulled out my phone and called the one person I'd been avoiding all morning. Brennan and Associates, attorney at law. I need to speak with someone about filing for divorce, I said. Today, if possible. The drive back from Portland took 5 hours. I didn't stop except for gas. My hands gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles ached, and somewhere around Salem I realized I'd been clenching my jaw so hard my teeth hurt. I pulled into our driveway at 6:47 a.m. The sun was just coming up, turning the sky that particular shade of gray-pink that Emma always called strawberry milk color. My parents' car sat in front of the garage. They'd driven down from Seattle last night to stay with the kids while I handled what I'd told them was an emergency work situation in Portland. The house smelled like coffee and pancakes when I walked in. Dad was at the stove, flipping something in a pan. Mom sat at the kitchen table with Lucas on her lap, helping him sound out words in a picture book. Daddy! Emma came running from the living room, still in her pajamas. I caught her and held on maybe a second too long. Hey, sweetheart. You being good for Grandma and Grandpa? Uh-huh. Grandpa's making chocolate chip pancakes. Sounds perfect. I looked over her head at my parents. Mom's face was tight with worry. Dad just nodded at me, a silent question in his eyes. Let me talk to Grandma and Grandpa for a minute, okay? Then I'll come have breakfast with you. Emma skipped back to the living room where cartoons were playing softly. Lucas waved at me from Mom's lap, already distracted by his book again. I followed my parents into the dining room, far enough from the kids that they wouldn't hear. What happened? Mom asked immediately. I'd rehearsed this on the drive. Keep it simple, don't break down. Katie's been having an affair. Multiple affairs, actually. I confronted her last night in Portland. I'm filing for divorce. Mom's hand went to her mouth. Dad's expression hardened, But he didn't look surprised. That stung a little. Had he suspected something? The kids? Dad asked. I want full custody. I've got documentation, lots of it. Credit card receipts, messages, everything. She's been lying about her business trips for months. Oh, Jacob. Mom reached for my hand. I'm so sorry. I need your help, I said. I need to find a lawyer today, a good one. And I need someone to watch the kids while I handle this. Katie's still in Portland, but she'll be back eventually. I don't know when. I don't care. But I need to have papers filed before she gets home. We'll stay as long as you need, Dad said. Your mother can take the kids to the park today. You do what you need to do. I nodded, not trusting my voice for a moment. Have you eaten? Mom asked. I'm fine. That's not what I asked. I hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon. I'll have pancakes with the kids. At 9:15 a.m., I was sitting in the office of Patricia Brennan. No relation to my employer, just a coincidence that had come up when I'd frantically Googled Best Divorce Attorney Portland, Oregon at a rest stop outside Eugene. Except she wasn't in Portland. She was in Sonoma, California, and I'd gotten her name from a different search. Divorce Attorney Infidelity, California. Wait. No, I was in Sonoma now. That didn't make sense. I blinked hard, rubbed my eyes. The exhaustion was catching up with me. I was still in my dining room, laptop open, searching for attorneys. Not in anyone's office. God, I needed sleep. Focus. I found 3 names, sent emails to all of them explaining I needed an emergency consultation. Then I went and ate pancakes with my kids, forcing myself to smile and laugh at Lucas's syrup-covered face, to admire Emma's drawing of a princess with a crown made of flowers. Katie called at 10:23 a.m. I let it go to voicemail. She called again at 10:31, again at 10:45. I turned my phone off. By 11 a.m., I had responses from 2 attorneys. The first could see me Thursday. The second, Amanda Wolf, had a cancellation and could meet me at 2 p.m. today if I could make it to her office in Seattle. I could make it to Seattle. Amanda Wolf's office was in a high-rise downtown, all glass and steel and expensive furniture. She was maybe 50, with short silver hair and sharp eyes that reminded me of a hawk. When I walked in, she gestured to a chair across from her desk and didn't waste time on pleasantries. Tell me everything, she said. Start from the beginning. I did. I told her about finding the phone, the messages, the investigation, the hotel receipts, the Planned Parenthood charge, the emails suggesting multiple affair partners. I told her about driving to Portland and confronting Katie and Derek. I showed her the flash drive I'd prepared with screenshots of everything. She listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes on a legal pad. When I finished, she sat back in her chair. You've got strong grounds for divorce, she said. Washington is a no-fault state, so the adultery itself won't affect the divorce decree, but it absolutely matters for custody and potentially for asset division if we can demonstrate she spent marital funds on the affairs. I want my kids, I said. That's what matters. The courts favor shared custody, but given the deception and the fact that she was engaging in high-risk behavior, multiple partners, the STI screening suggests she knew there was risk. We can build a case for primary custody with you, especially if we can show a pattern of prioritizing her affairs over parental responsibility. She FaceTimed them, I said, from hotel rooms where she was meeting them. She'd sing Disney songs to Emma and then… I stopped, swallowed hard. She'd turn off the camera and get back in bed with whoever she was with that trip. Amanda's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. That demonstrates compartmentalization and deception. We can use it. Do you have evidence of the FaceTime calls from the hotel locations? Phone records. I can cross-reference the timestamps with the hotel check-ins. Good. I'll need all of that. Now, let's talk about assets. Walk me through your financial situation. I did. The house, we'd put down $80,000 combined, still owed $340,000. Joint savings, $47,000. My 401k, $125,000. Her 401k, $98,000. 2 cars, both paid off. No significant debt except the mortgage. Any valuable collections? Art, jewelry, anything like that? I almost said no, then I remembered. Wine, I said. Katie's been collecting wine for years. Started before we got married. She's got probably 300 bottles in our basement. Some of them are worth a lot. I don't know exactly how much, but she's always talking about vintages and investment-grade bottles. She spent thousands on it. Amanda made a note. We'll need an appraisal. Wine collections can be significant assets. If she purchased bottles during the marriage with marital funds, they're community property regardless of whose hobby it was. Most of them she bought after we got married, I said. She's got spreadsheets. She tracks everything: purchase price, current value, optimal drinking windows. I'll need copies of those spreadsheets. And Jacob? Amanda looked at me directly. Don't touch the wine collection. Don't drink it, don't move it, don't do anything with it. It's evidence of asset value and potentially of marital fund misuse if she was spending excessively on a personal hobby. I nodded. I'm going to file a petition for dissolution of marriage today, she said. We'll request a temporary parenting plan that gives you primary custody pending the final hearing. Given her travel schedule and the circumstances, we've got good grounds. She'll be served within the next few days. Do you know when she's coming back from Portland? No idea. She's probably on her way now. Where are your kids? With my parents, at the house. Good. Keep them there. Document everything. When you're with them, what you do with them, every interaction. If Katie tries to take them, don't physically prevent her, but call me immediately. Understood? Understood. Amanda stood, extended her hand. I'll have the initial paperwork ready by end of day. My retainer is $5,000. We'll bill against that at $350 an hour. I had the money in savings. It would hurt, but I had it. One more thing, Amanda said as I reached the door. You did the right thing documenting everything before confronting her. Most people don't think that clearly. It's going to make this much easier. I drove back home with the afternoon sun in my eyes, my phone still off, and a strange, hollow feeling in my chest that might have been relief, or might have been the simple absence of adrenaline after running on it for almost 24 hours straight. When I pulled into the driveway at 4:30 p.m., Katie's car was parked in front of the garage. She was home. I pulled into our driveway at 4:47 p.m. on Thursday, my stomach tight as I stared at Katie's silver Lexus parked in its usual spot. The house looked exactly as it always did. White siding, black shutters, Emma's bike lying on its side near the garage. Normal. Except nothing was normal anymore. My parents had texted an hour ago that Katie had come home around noon, asked where I was, then locked herself in our bedroom. They'd taken the kids to their house for the night without argument from her. Good. Emma and Lucas didn't need to witness what came next. I sat in my car for 3 minutes, breathing, my hands gripping the steering wheel. The folder from Amanda Wolf sat on the passenger seat. Divorce papers, custody filing, restraining order if needed. All ready to go. All meticulously documented. The front door was unlocked. I stepped into the foyer and heard nothing. No TV, no music, no sounds of life. Just the hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen. Jacob? Her voice came from upstairs. Hoarse. She'd been crying. I didn't answer. I walked to the kitchen, set my keys on the counter where I'd found her phone 2 nights ago. Felt like 2 years. Footsteps on the stairs. Then Katie appeared in the kitchen doorway wearing yoga pants and one of my old college sweatshirts. Her hair pulled back, face blotchy and red. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. Where are the kids? She asked. My parents' house. For how long? As long as necessary. She wrapped her arms around herself. We need to talk. No, I said. We don't. You need to listen. Her eyes went wide. In 9 years of marriage, I'd never used that tone with her. I pulled out my phone, opened the folder of screenshots. I know about Derek. I know about the Atlanta guy. I know about every hotel, every lie, every business trip that wasn't. The color drained from her face. Jacob, I drove to Portland yesterday. I met Derek. Nice guy. Brought you flowers and a 2019 Pinot Noir to room 412. Very romantic. She grabbed the counter for support. Oh my God. I've retained an attorney, Amanda Wolf in Seattle. You'll be served with divorce papers by Monday. I'm seeking full custody based on your extended absences, infidelity, and the unsafe sexual behavior documented by your Planned Parenthood visit. You went through my... She stopped, realizing how absurd that sounded. Jacob, please, can we just... I've already moved $47,000 from our joint savings to a separate account. That's my half. I've documented every shared asset, including the wine collection, which will require professional appraisal. I've compiled 6 months of credit card statements, hotel receipts, and approximately 200 screenshots of messages between you and at least 2 different men. Katie's legs seemed to give out. She slid down the cabinet to sit on the kitchen floor, her face in her hands. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. How many? I asked. She looked up, tears streaming. What? How many men, Katie? Because I found 2, but you took 7 suspicious trips. She shook her head, crying harder. Answer the question. 3, she whispered. There were 3. The number hit me like a physical blow, but I kept my voice steady. Names. Derek, Michael from Atlanta, and Connor from Seattle. He's in medical device sales. How long? Derek for 4 months. Michael was just twice. Connor was... She wiped her eyes. 3 times. I pulled out a chair and sat down, my legs suddenly weak. The promotion. It started with the promotion. I don't know what happened to me, she said, her voice breaking. The travel, the hotels, the freedom. I felt like a different person, like I could be someone else for a few days and then come home and be mom and wife and everything would be compartmentalized, I said flatly. You compartmentalized us, your family, your children. I love Emma and Lucas more than anything, but not enough to keep your pants on in 4 different cities. She flinched. That's not fair. I laughed, a bitter sound I didn't recognize. Fair? You want to talk about fair? I trusted you completely. Same passwords, joint accounts, total transparency. I never once questioned a business trip. Never once doubted you. And you used that trust to schedule hotel rooms with 3 different men. I know, and I hate myself for it. Jacob, I want to fix this. I want to go to counseling. No, please, for the kids. We can't just throw away 9 years. You threw it away, I said, standing up. Every time you checked into a hotel room, every time you texted one of them, every lie about Dallas or Phoenix or wherever the hell you actually were. You threw it away piece by piece, and I'm just finally seeing the wreckage. She stood too, reaching for me. Jacob, please. I made terrible mistakes, but we can... I stepped back. Don't touch me. I need you to understand something. This isn't anger talking. This isn't a rash decision. I spent 2 days documenting everything. I have timestamps, receipts, screenshots, GPS data from credit card transactions. I have a lawyer who specializes in high-conflict custody cases. I have my parents ready to testify about your extended absences and my primary caretaker role. I have everything I need to ensure Emma and Lucas stay with me. You can't take my children away from me. Watch me. Her face crumpled. I'm their mother. Then you should have thought about that before you risked bringing home God knows what from 3 different men. Do the kids know you got tested for STIs? Should we tell them why mommy went to Planned Parenthood? That's cruel. No, Katie. Cruel is making your husband get tested because you couldn't keep your wedding vows. Cruel is lying to your kids about where you were while you were in bed with a winemaker in Portland. Cruel is what you did to this family. She sank back down to the floor, sobbing. Part of me, a small, dying part, wanted to comfort her. Wanted to kneel down and hold her like I had 1,000 times before. But that instinct was drowning in the images I couldn't unsee, the messages I couldn't unread, the hotel receipts that told the story of my wife's double life. I need you out of the house by Sunday, I said quietly. Her head snapped up. What? This is my house, too. And you can fight me on it in court. But my attorney advised that given the circumstances, it's better for the children to maintain stability in the primary residence with the primary caretaker. That's me. You can contest it, but it'll look bad when we're arguing custody. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know. Maybe Derek has room at the Vineyard. Maybe Connor in Seattle. Maybe the Riverside Inn has a weekly rate. Stop it. You have until Sunday at noon. Take your clothes, your personal items, whatever you need. Everything else stays for asset division. She pulled herself up using the counter, her face red and swollen. I'm not leaving my children. You already did, 7 times over 6 months. I'm just making it official. Jacob, I'm going to my parents' house to be with Emma and Lucas. When I come back tomorrow, I expect you to be civil and quiet. We'll tell the kids together that Mommy is going to stay somewhere else for a while. You will not cry in front of them. You will not make this harder than it already is. Do you understand? She stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Maybe the man who trusted her completely, who never questioned her trips, who celebrated her promotion with expensive wine and proud toasts. Maybe he died Tuesday night at 11:47 p.m. when I saw that message on her phone. Do you understand? I repeated. Yes, she whispered. I grabbed my keys and walked toward the door. Jacob? I stopped but didn't turn around. I really am sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything now, but I need you to know I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted this. I looked back at her then, standing in our kitchen in my old sweatshirt, mascara streaked down her face, looking lost and broken. You're right, I said. It doesn't mean anything. I walked out, got in my car, and drove to my parents' house where my children were eating pizza and watching cartoons, still innocent, still whole, still believing their mother was the person they thought she was. Tomorrow, I'd start the process of explaining why that person didn't exist anymore. Tonight, I just needed to hold them and pretend for a few more hours that I could protect them from everything, even from the truth. The GPS guided me off Highway 101 onto a 2-lane road that wound through rolling hills covered in dormant vines. January in Sonoma County looked nothing like the glossy photos on Red Hand Vineyard's website. No golden sunshine, no workers harvesting plump grapes. Just gray skies and bare branches stretching across muddy slopes. I'd told Amanda I needed a few days to clear my head. She'd warned me against doing anything stupid. Let the legal process work, Jacob. Don't give her ammunition. But this wasn't stupid. This was reconnaissance. Derek Vance had destroyed my marriage. He'd spent 4 months sleeping with my wife, sending her explicit messages, buying her expensive dinners while I was home reading bedtime stories to our kids. The least I could do was see where this man lived, where he worked, what kind of operation he ran. The vineyard appeared around a bend, a modest estate with a Spanish-style tasting room and a barn converted into what looked like offices. A hand-painted sign read, Red Hand Vineyards, Estate Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Beyond the main buildings, I spotted rows of bare vines marching up the hillside. I parked my rental car in the gravel lot. 3 other vehicles sat near the tasting room. A silver Audi, a pickup truck with the Red Hand logo, and a white Honda. Thursday afternoon in January probably wasn't peak tasting season. Inside, the tasting room had exposed beams, a long bar made from reclaimed wood, and walls lined with bottles. A young woman with auburn hair smiled from behind the counter. Welcome to Red Hand. Are you here for a tasting? Just browsing, I said. Beautiful place. Thanks. Derek, that's the owner. He's really proud of what we've built here. She gestured toward the bottles. We focus on small batch, estate-grown wines. Everything's hand-harvested. Derek. Of course she'd mention him immediately. Is he around? I asked, keeping my voice casual. I'd love to meet the winemaker. He's down in the cellar doing inventory, but he should be up soon if you want to wait. Can I pour you something while you... The door behind the bar opened. A man emerged, wiping his hands on a rag. Tall, maybe 6'2", with dark hair graying at the temples. Late 30s or early 40s. He wore jeans and a flannel shirt with the sleeves rolled up. Derek Vance. I'd seen his photo on the website, but seeing him in person triggered something visceral. This was the man who'd been inside my wife, who'd made her laugh in those messages, who'd sent her photos of wine bottles with captions like, "Can't wait to uncork you." He glanced at me, then looked again, his expression shifting from polite interest to recognition. You, he said. The woman behind the bar looked between us, confused. Me, I agreed. Derek set down the rag. Chloe, take your break. But now please. She grabbed her phone and disappeared through a side door, throwing worried glances over her shoulder. We stood there in silence. Through the window, I could see the hills and the vines and the gray sky pressing down on everything. You shouldn't be here, Derek said finally. You shouldn't have been in Portland, in room 412, with my wife. He exhaled slowly. Look, I know what you think of me. You don't know anything about what I think? But Katie and I, we had something real. It wasn't just, don't. My hands clenched into fists. Don't you dare tell me about what you had with her. You knew she was married. You knew she had kids. Derek leaned against the bar. She told me the marriage was over, that you two were just going through the motions. She lied. Maybe. Or maybe you didn't see what was right in front of you. The urge to hit him surged through me. I imagined my fist connecting with his jaw, the satisfaction of watching him stumble back. But Amanda's voice echoed in my head. Don't give her ammunition. I want to see the cellar, I said. What? The cellar, where you do your inventory. I want to see it. Derek frowned. Why? Because Katie told me about it. In her messages. How you'd take her down there between tastings, how you'd... I stopped, swallowing the rest. I want to see where it happened. Jesus Christ, man, that's... Show me. Something in my voice must have convinced him. Or maybe he just wanted to get this over with. He grabbed a keyring from behind the bar and jerked his head toward the back door. Follow me. We walked across the gravel lot to a separate building, older than the tasting room, with thick stone walls and a heavy wooden door. Derek unlocked it and flipped a switch. Fluorescent lights flickered on, revealing a staircase descending into darkness. The temperature dropped as we went down. The air smelled of earth and oak and something sweet. Fermenting grapes, maybe, or spilled wine. At the bottom, the cellar opened into a large space with a vaulted ceiling. Rows of oak barrels lined the walls, stacked 3 high. Bottles filled metal racks along the back. This is it, Derek said. The vintage vault. We keep our reserve wines here plus barrels for aging. I walked between the barrel stacks, running my hand along the smooth wood. Somewhere in this room, Katie had let this man touch her. Kiss her. More. Which barrel? I asked. What? Which barrel did you have her on? Derek's jaw tightened. I'm not answering that. Was it here? I stopped at a stack near the center of the room. Or over there by the bottles. You need to leave. Did she make noise? Did you have to cover her mouth so the tasting room wouldn't hear? Get out. Derek moved toward me. Get out of my cellar. I turned to face him. We were the same height, close enough that I could see the veins in his neck, the pulse beating there. You destroyed my family, I said quietly. My kids are going to grow up in a broken home because you couldn't keep your hands off a married woman. That's not on me. That's on Katie. And on you, for whatever wasn't working in your marriage. The slap came before I could think. My palm connected with his cheek, the sound echoing off the stone walls. Derek stumbled back, hand flying to his face. You son of a... He lunged. I sidestepped, and he crashed into a barrel stack. One of the barrels shifted, and I heard liquid sloshing inside. Derek caught himself, breathing hard. Hit me, and I'll sue you for everything, I said. Amanda would love that. Amanda? My attorney. She's very good. Already got screenshots of every message you sent Katie, every hotel receipt, every bottle of wine you bought her. I smiled without warmth. You're going to be Exhibit A in my divorce case, the winemaker who couldn't keep it in his pants. Derek straightened, rubbing his jaw where I'd hit him. Katie said you were boring, predictable. Guess she was wrong about the predictable part. I looked around the cellar again, at the barrels, the bottles, the careful organization of everything. This place was Derek's pride, his livelihood, the foundation of whatever reputation he'd built in the wine world. An idea formed, cold and clear. Nice operation you have here, I said. Be a shame if something happened to it. Are you threatening me? Just making an observation. I headed toward the stairs. Thanks for the tour. Behind me, Derek said, Stay away from Katie. I paused on the bottom step. Katie's my wife, mother of my children. I'll deal with her however I see fit. She doesn't want you anymore. Maybe not, but she's going to lose them anyway. The kids, I mean. No judge is going to give primary custody to a woman who screws around on business trips. I climbed the stairs without looking back. Outside, the gray afternoon had darkened toward evening. Chloe stood by the tasting room, smoking a cigarette and watching me with wide eyes. I got in my rental car and drove back toward the highway, my heart pounding, hands shaking on the wheel. Amanda would kill me if she knew I'd come here. But I'd learned what I needed to know. I'd seen Derek's kingdom, understood what mattered to him, and I'd started planning exactly how to burn it down. 6 months later, I stood in my backyard watching Emma push Lucas on the swing set. Summer had arrived in full force, the kind of bright June day that made everything feel possible again. The divorce had been finalized 3 weeks ago. Katie got supervised visitation every other weekend. The judge hadn't been impressed with her documented infidelity, the pattern of deception, or the fact that she'd exposed me to potential STIs without consent. Amanda had presented everything methodically, the hotel receipts, the messages, the timeline of lies. Katie's attorney had tried to argue that modern relationships were complex, that her travel schedule made her no less of a mother, but the evidence was overwhelming. The wine collection appraisal had been particularly damaging. $47,000 worth of bottles, most purchased with marital funds during her affair period. The judge awarded me 70% of the collection's value. I sold every bottle and put the money into college funds for Emma and Lucas. Derek Vance sent me a letter in April. Handwritten, surprisingly. He apologized, not for the affair, but for his comments in the cellar that day. Said he'd been defensive and cruel. Said Katie had ended things with him shortly after the Portland confrontation, that she'd realized she needed to focus on her children. He hoped I could find peace. I burned the letter in the fireplace and never responded. Katie moved to an apartment in Tacoma, took a demotion at Vertex that eliminated the travel. She sees the kids twice a month now, always with my parents present per court order. Emma asks sometimes why Mommy doesn't live with us anymore. I tell her that sometimes grown-ups make mistakes and families change shape, but love doesn't disappear. I don't know if that's true, The love I had for Katie, the trust, the partnership, the belief that we were building something permanent, that disappeared completely. What remains is a kind of distant civility for the sake of two children who didn't ask for any of this. My parents moved down from Seattle permanently. Dad retired early, and they bought a house 10 minutes away. They pick up the kids from school twice a week, have them for sleepovers on weekends when I need time to breathe. I don't know how I would have survived without them. Work helped too. I threw myself into it, took on extra clients, worked late after the kids went to bed. Brennan promoted me to senior partner in March. The raise meant I could afford the house on my own, could maintain some stability for Emma and Lucas. "Daddy, watch this," Emma called. She'd climbed to the top of the jungle gym, arms spread wide like she was flying. "I see you, sweetheart. Be careful." She grinned and slid down the pole, fearless. Lucas had stopped swinging and was digging in the sandbox, completely absorbed in whatever engineering project occupied his 5-year-old mind. They were resilient in ways I hadn't expected. They missed their mother, asked about her, but they'd adapted to the new rhythm of our lives. Maybe that was the hardest part, watching them adapt to a broken thing and call it normal. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. "Final decree recorded with the court. You're officially done. Congratulations." Done. After 9 years of marriage, 12 years together, 2 children and a mortgage and 1,000 shared memories. It all came down to a court recording and a lawyer's congratulations. I looked at my kids playing in the yard of a house that was now solely mine, in a life I'd never imagined I'd be living. The betrayal still stung sometimes, late at night, or when I saw couples holding hands at the grocery store, or when Emma asked why some families had mommies and daddies living together and we didn't. But standing there in the summer sunshine, watching my children laugh and play and grow, I realized something. Katie's choices had broken our marriage, but they hadn't broken me. And more importantly, they hadn't broken Emma and Lucas. We were healing. Slowly, imperfectly, but genuinely. I'd learned that trust, once shattered, doesn't really repair. You just build something new from the pieces. I'd learned that love without honesty is just a comfortable lie. I'd learned that the person you think you know best can be a stranger wearing a familiar face. And I'd learned that sometimes the life you planned isn't the life you get, but you protect your children and move forward anyway because that's what parents do. Emma ran over and grabbed my hand. "Daddy, come play with us." I let her pull me toward the swing set, toward Lucas and the sandbox and the uncomplicated joy of an afternoon with my kids. The past was documented, filed, finished. The future was uncertain. But right now, in this moment, we were okay. And for today, that was enough.